Thank you for joining us here on AM Talk. The Attorney General laid a bill before Parliament early this month to specifically deal with politically related violence, known locally as political vigilantism, but we here at JoyNews have always called it party militia. Well, Gloria Kufu appealed to MPs to consider the bill under a certificate of urgency. Here's Deputy Attorney General Dendiok Benka talking about the bill. Parliament has been recalled to sit today. Well, the agenda has quite since changed. We'll talk about that.
Yes, it's of an urgent nature. But remember, the committee put in a little caveat. The fact that there's a need for us to consult a few stakeholders, the political parties and other stakeholders. If you look at it, it does not cover only just vigilante groups, but it includes, but not limited to, land guards and etc. They are all part of it. So there has to be some level of consultation. The determination that is of an urgent nature is not in dispute. It's been unanimously done. But what is left now is for us to do a few consultations with some stakeholders to fine-tune it. And then when we come to sit to look at it, we will pass it through one day. All the stages will go to first reading, second reading, third reading, and everything will be done within a day because it's been determined. Of course, that is why Mr. Speaker says that we will return here on the 29th. He announced that on the floor. And I think that when we return, since both sides are unanimously in agreement that we should go ahead with it of an urgent nature, it will be passed to law.
The minority asking that the Iowa West Wagon Commission Inquiry report, they would want it published and a white paper on it put out before any further work on this goes on. Otherwise, then, the input from there may not be captured after all, despite all the work.
No, please. We are not to stampede His Excellency the President into doing his work. We cannot stampede him. The truth of the matter is that they haven't told us that His Excellency the President, by not releasing it as of now, has flouted any law or legislation for that matter. All they are saying is that it has delayed. And what constitutes delay is subjective. So I can say that His Excellency the President is doing due diligence on that report. And at the appropriate time, the white paper will be issued. They shouldn't be in a hurry at all.
All right, so the bill was first laid and read in Parliament Thursday, April 11, 2019. It was referred to the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs by the Speaker to consider its urgency or otherwise a report sent to the plenary for consideration. I've got a ranking member, Legal, Constitutional, Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament, also member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Inusa Fuseni, joining us for a conversation on this. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Alaji, first of all, I guess I'd like to ask the justification for the urgency of this bill, Vigilantism and Related Offences Bill 2019, from the committee's point of view.
Well, thank you so very much for the invitation to speak on this matter, and let me say good morning to your cherished viewers. The invitation to consider the bill under a certificate of urgency came from the Attorney General. The President had initiated the Iowa West Wagon Commission of Inquiry. Mm-hmm. We had seen the brutalities that occurred in the Iowa West Wagon constituency. We had seen the involvement of people who were otherwise members of vigilante groups, let me put it for want of a better word. We had heard the President speak about vigilantism in his State of the Nation address and his invitation to the two parties to try to dialogue a solution to vigilantism. And so when we accepted it, now, when the bill was laid in Parliament, most of the committee members' initial reaction was to reject the bill because it looked like the President was stampeding the process. The Iowa West Wagon Constituency, Iowa West Wagon Commission of Inquiry report, Emily Shaw's report, had not been published yet. The parties were still meeting, but when we met the Attorney General and she canvassed her position and explained to the committee why she thought that we could admit the bill under a certificate of urgency, we came to a compromise using a two-pronged solution to the problem. Article 1, Order 119 of our standing orders requires that when a bill is laid in Parliament under a certificate of urgency, it can be taken in a day. Now, Article 106.13 is the basis for laying the bill under a certificate of urgency and overreaches the requirement in Article 106.2b, which is the requirement for Gazette notification. And so what it simply means is that if a bill is laid under a certificate of urgency, the 14 days Gazette notification that is required of normal bills should be waived. And so we waived that. The second solution we came to was that the Vigilantism bill is a bill of significant and important nature. A bill that has far-reaching consequences. A bill that can impact the Constitution, okay, and might, in some respects, raise the constitutionality of the provisions in the bill. A bill that is of interest to political parties. A bill that is of interest to the Ghana Police Service. If you go to the Ghana Police Service, particularly where the office of the IGPS, you will find boldly put on the wall of the Ghana Police Service a statement that vigilantism is a threat to our democracy. So clearly, the police should be interested. We had many policemen speak about the effects of vigilantism. And the people, about 7 groups have been named in the bill. So they should be helping us to understand.
As in the named groups,
the named
in
groups
the bill?
In the bill.
Should be helping you understand what exactly.
How they operate, what brought them together, how are they used, how do they operate. They are also interested parties. We want to ban it. So we then asked the Speaker that having laid the bill under a certificate of urgency, Parliament should accept it as the property of Parliament. We should accept it under a certificate of urgency. Okay? Now it becomes our property. But Parliament should waive the requirement of considering the bill, which is actually a convention that day, and allow for broad stakeholder engagement to build general acceptability and consensus on the provisions of the bill. And so that was accepted. Okay. And so Parliament accepted that, debates were hard and had, and then the Speaker adjourned the meeting to today, to the 9th. Okay,
so are we sure if this is going to be tabled?
It's not going to be tabled at all. The bill has been overreached by subsequent events.
Okay, but the committee sent out some communication asking people to write to it if they had issues or any comments they wanted to make considering this bill. I think the deadline was 23rd or so.
Yes.
Has that been extended?
And thank you for following closely the committee's work. Many people did not know that in the 3rd was a closing date. Thank you so very much. That has been overreached. So the requirement for members of the public to send in their memoranda on the bill is still open. A date has not yet been fixed for the stakeholder engagement. It has been overreached because we received notification from the leadership of Parliament that we're not going to take the bill when we resume in this short period, that is from today to Friday.
Okay. But the committee, even at the stage where you dealt with this, did you take into account the Emil Short Commission's report and the fact that the outcome is still not known, and the fact that, well, we were all expecting that it would be factored into this bill? So was that something that members of the committee talked about?
Moavi, I'll see you after this program. I have not seen the report, so we couldn't take it into consideration.
No, but my point is, were you concerned about the fact that the report was not out, but the bill was before you?
We're very concerned about the fact that the report was not out. The report dealt with vigilantism. In fact, I agree entirely with my own lecturer, Professor Mensa Bunsu, when she says that it is not vigilantism. It is warlordism. Joy FM calls them militia. Vigilantism as a word has positive connotations, okay? Even as groups of people who have elected to support political parties and being vigilant has some positivity in it. In fact, talking about the bill itself, there is no law that prescribes the formation of a group to pursue a lawful purpose. And forming a group for the purposes of supporting a political party is a lawful purpose. So, and the Constitution enjoins us to do that. Now, again, there is no law in Ghana that holds leaders of a group vicariously responsible for the acts of their members. There's no such law. The vicarious responsibility in criminal jurisprudence is not acceptable. That's why we are fighting truculence. Or your father or uncle committed a crime and you don't have to pay, he has to pay for it. In fact, people should be held personally responsible. Okay? Now, so you see that indeed there is some lack of conceptual clarity about the bill. Right from the word go.
So specifically, are we talking about the name? And I want to go back a bit and talk about your deputy minority leader, James Kluge-Avedji, who told us that he had issues with the name and he was advocating for the use of militia and not vigilantism. We
clearly, like I said, conceptual clarity. We have said, what are we banning? Are we banning the criminal activities of various members of groups associated, related, supporting a political party? Is that what we are banning? Or we are banning the existence of those groups? Okay? If we say we are banning the existence of those groups without more, don't you think that we will be violating provisions of the Constitution because they have a right so to form a group? Well, you sat
at the committee, you are a ranking member, so what are we banning?
So we have
you should be able to tell us.
We have not yet, we at the committee level did not even consider the provisions of the bill. What we did was simply to look at the memoranda. And the issue we raised was the conditional statement made by the president, where he said that if the political parties are incapable, unable to resolve the vigilantism problem, he would
resort to legislation.
Good. So we thought that the condition had not warranted the laying of the bill.
Because indeed, the two parties
are still meeting. In fact, they're
meeting today again after the first one.
Yes. And so we raised the issue. We said, look, it's the president who himself, and it's about credibility issues. You had said that, well, you will only do B if A is not accomplished. Well,
but to be fair, there was a lot of back and forth with the letters.
Well, the president even said so. But indeed, I have no problem with that as of now, because I tried to reconcile it at the committee level. And I said that, well, it appears to me that what the political parties are doing is pursuing voluntary disbandment of vigilante groups. But what the law seeks to do is to provide a legal basis for the disbandment of groups and criminalize those actions. When the if the political parties succeed, there will not be consequences of crime. But whether they succeed or not, if the law is put into place and the person is found violating this law, then it will have consequences. Well, so I then reconciled and said, well, the two are not mutually exclusive, except that the president was wrong, politically speaking, when he made the conditional statement.
But with things to do with crime, you still can't take the groups on. You have to take the individuals. Don't we have the laws to deal with individuals in terms of crime?
We do. We have the laws. I mean, there are criminal laws, and I mean, if you pursue your political objectives and you harm a person in the process, you will have caused grievous, depending on the gravity of the harm, you will of course either harm or grievous body harm to an individual, and you will be held liable. If you kill during political party rallies, it's a crime. You are holding munition in an area which is not, allowed, which does not allow for, or the law forbids the holding of munition. You will be held accountable. So there are laws dealing with that. And again, it is because those laws are not that effective.
The laws are not that effective?
Against political parties. So you want to understand, how is it that the police becomes very impotent in the enforcement of the laws to protect life and property when it comes to political parties. So that's why we needed to.
But that's not an issue to do with law, is it?
That's not an issue to do with law. That's an issue to do with enforcement. And what militates against their enforcement of the law against political parties.
So can I ask, when it comes to the hierarchy of laws as we have it, this vigilantism and related offences bill, where does it fall?
It falls as under, if it is passed, it will be under Act of Parliament. You are talking about Article 11 of the Constitution.
So you said it will fall under
Acts of Parliament.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see, because there are people who have said that, people would challenge this when they are taken on.
No. The way it is, it opens and lends itself seriously to challenges in court if it is passed this way. Clearly, I mean.
Okay, so
I'll give you another example. You say vigilante groups as identified here should not provide protocol services and should not engage in the enforcement of law and order. And we all know that that's a no.
Well, but that's the reserve for the Ghana Police
No,
Service.
that's not a reserve. That's the reserve for you and I. Every citizen has a right under the Constitution. In fact, every citizen is enjoined under the Constitution to help maintain law and order.
To help maintain
yes.
law and order.
So when you are doing a rally, okay, and then the police are outnumbered by the people who are there, and then groups of people who have been formed within political parties are helping maintain the crowd. Are they not enforcing law and order?
Well, that's when they are overwhelmed, which is not always the situation.
Oh, you think that we have enough police capability to deal with all the rallies when we are in campaign
Let's
season?
talk about the last NDC national exercise. You didn't use your own people to protect the crowd. You relied on the Ghana Police Service. In fact, you commended them.
We commended them,
Exactly.
and we have always commended them. I'm saying that, but we used. We used them.
So we can't do without them.
So what I'm saying, again, let's come back. So what are we criminalizing? That is the question we must answer. If we are able to answer that clearly, then we'll focus on providing a solution to warlordism.
So this is not clear in this bill as we have it today.
It's not clear at all.
So really, what are we doing with
Then
this?
we have added the part of land guardism. So this is a matter that has been affecting us since time immemorial, arising out of the fact that land was never regarded as a species of property by our forefathers. It belonged in Buze's famous treatise. It belonged to our ancestors, the present generation and future generation. No one could covet land. Land has now become an important economic factor. Okay, and so people now want to have ownership of land. But because we treated land not as a species of property, we did not provide for documentation. Boundaries were determined by either a big tree or a stream or an anthill. Today, people have to take land title documents and they are coveting land. And to be able to maintain control over the land, people have deployed others to watch over those lands. And it results in conflicts. Okay? We've always known this.
Again, we don't have laws to deal with that?
We've always known this. We don't have laws to deal with the issue of maintaining control over your land. The state has nothing to do because of the duality of ownership of land in this country. I mean, land which is not state land is true land or skin land. Okay, and the state has nothing to do with that. And if the state wants skin or stool land, the state has to acquire. Okay, and so the various skins and stools have the rights, responsibility to protect the land, which was the land of their ancestors, for themselves and the future generation.
But the state also has the responsibility to protect its citizens. So to the extent that individuals, tools, and families protecting their lands is costing the lives of citizens.
No, individuals protecting lands does not cost. But people who take the law into their own hands by visiting harm on rival claimants to the land infringe the laws of the land.
And the state should just sit and watch?
The state's responsibility to maintain law and order at any time, whether it's dealing with land guardism or vigilantism, is never overreached by a person's personal rights and responsibilities to protect his ancestral land.
So let's say the state has identified some weaknesses in the existing law. That's why they're coming up with this.
Yes, so which is the weakness they have identified? That's why we need.
I should be asking you.
That's why we need
before your committee.
That is why we need the memoranda. Which is the weakness?
Well, but it clearly tells you.
Oh, this bill was drafted, well, with due respect to my senior at the bar and Attorney General of the Republic, that appears to have been drafted just to meet the idiosyncrasies of the president.
Why do you arrive at that conclusion?
It doesn't make rationality. Even look at the definition of vigilantism.
I've heard some of your party people call it useless. Is it a useless document?
I won't say it's a useless. I won't go that far. But I say that it doesn't meet the reasonable and legitimate expectations of reasonable thinking men who want to fight warlordism or militia or political vigilantism.
Okay. Let's just close the chapter on this particular conversation and move to others. So what would we see in the coming? When are you really considering this?
We don't know. I think it's no longer on the radar. Maybe the speaker will tell us today, but we don't simply know.
Okay. All right. You're also being recalled to consider Sino-Hydro, correct? What are the things that you're going back this week to deal with?
Well, this week, my information as ranking member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee is to consider the the clause-by-clause consideration of the company's bill.
Okay.
The company's bill has been around for quite some time. In fact, attempts at consolidating the laws that deal with companies in Ghana has taken close to a decade. Now, the Gawa Companies Code was promulgated, and in 1963. I mean, so many years after its usage, new trends have come into existence. We're looking at to take experiences from New Zealand and Mauritius and incorporate transparent provisions into our law, and also ensure that the bill or the law, when it becomes law, becomes business friendly and ease the doing of business. I understand that it is one of the key benchmark indicators by the World Bank for government's engagement with them.
The ease of doing business?
The
passage of the company's bill.
Yeah. And that probably explains why
they're in a hurry with it.
The Vigilantism bill has taken a backstage.
Oh.
I understand that they were given, the government of the Republic was given up to the 1st of May to have the bill passed into law for further triggers under their engagement with the World Bank. And so that is why we're
okay, but that's one of the reasons. Are you considering a tax waiver of a sort for Sino-Hydro?
Oh, but for Sino-Hydro, it's a whole gamut of matter. It's scandalous.
Is it?
It's a scandalous bill. It's a scandalous engagement. Look, Omavi, government came to Parliament to tell us that they are entered into some kind of arrangements. They never admit it's a loan.
Well,
they never.
The IMF.
Oh, I'm not talking about IMF. My responsibility.
It is not. But because you wrote to them, didn't you?
I'm not talking about IMF. I'm saying government came to Parliament and said it was not a loan. It was a barter arrangement, and that they were going to get $2 billion from Sino-Hydro for the purposes of doing some critical infrastructure in this country. Now, subsequently, they came back with 500 million as the first tranche of the 2 billion. Mamavi,
yes, sir.
The 500 million, it represents 85% of the cost of the projects, the 10 projects under the phase 1. Now, the 500 million will attract commitment fee. will attract management fee, will attract a Sanashore insurance premium, and will attract an interest.
Sanashore.
A premium, that's insurance. Now, the 4 components alone, within the 30 months for the completion of the project, we will pay 146.6 million extra for the 500. So the 500 by the completion of the 10 projects will be $646.6 million that will be paid in Sanashore. Now, just when we're about rising, Sanashore, Minister of Finance came to Parliament with a tax waiver on the 500 million to the tune of $82 million. 82. That is still the cost of the implementation of the first phase of the Sano-Hydro deal. That will bring the total payment to Sano-Hydro to 228.6 million. How do you take 500 million? And at the end of the 30-month period of implementation, you pay back to them 228.6 million in addition to the 500 million. 728.6 million. That's the amount we're going to pay.
You ask why? Because we don't have it. And the government has said to all of us.
Well, if you're hungry, if you are hungry and the pot of soup is on fire, you throw yourself into the pot of soup because you are hungry.
Done with this deal?
That's what we have done. We just thrown ourselves into a boiling pot of soup because we are hungry. That's the most irrational, illogical thing to do. We have the bauxite. Okay? We could
But you've always had it. It's been sitting there.
That is the beauty of natural resource. We've had it since Nkrumah was in power. And we have many other minerals and resources.
But now you have some real infrastructure deficits.
Well, so if you have real infrastructure deficits, you go for a terribly bad deal, like Sano-Hydro. Is that what we are saying?
Is it the minority that is seeing the deal
and then we seek to justify that deal with the release of Aisha 1. You can, even the cost, we are still counting the cost. Because we now know that conventional estimates put the remediation of the degraded lands in the mining areas to about 29 billion.
Alaji, when you were at the ministry, Aisha 1 was in existence, correct?
I don't know. I didn't meet. Aisha 1 never came within my radar. Aisha, no.
Isn't that in itself or by itself an issue?
It's no issue. I have said, and I'll say it again, but well, it's just a speculation, so I'm entitled to do that. I've said and said again that if Aisha 1 had come within my radar, probably we'll be talking about of another Aisha 1. I would have dealt with her. You see, people don't simply understand. And I've heard journalists say, oh, she was arrested, and then so what did you do? When they were not doing anything to her, what did you do? Natural resources is about me and you. It's about the future of this country. It's about our water bodies. Do we know what we call natural resource accounting? That when we degrade our environment, the consequences of that degradation will translate into monetary investment of reclamation.
Would this be the first time that we're giving something that is of importance to us? Would this be the first time that we're exchanging our natural resources with money, if you like?
But anytime you sell, you exchange for money. Anytime you sell natural resources, you are exchanging.
So this is.
But what I'm saying is that
this is not new. What we are doing is not new, is it?
It's new in the sense that first of all, you are opening a can of worms. It's new in the sense that Atiwa is targeted for exploitation. Atiwa itself has been declared by UNESCO as a globally significant biodiversity area. UNESCO gives Ghana government money to maintain Itiwa because you have
Didn't we give parts, some portions of Itiwa out?
I don't know of that. I remember that even when I came, Russians were prospecting around Itiwa, I stopped them. Because Itiwa also serves as a water catchment area for 3 important water bodies in this country.
So let's get the clarification.
Itiwa has been responsible for educating people within the fringe communities by just gathering wild snails.
So can we clarify something here? Are you saying, are we talking about your time at the ministry, or we're talking about your government, that you didn't give any portions of Itiwa out?
No, I didn't. I don't know.
For mining purposes?
No.
Which one are you denying?
I didn't. I, as a minister, said no. And I know that Itiwa, if you give Itiwa out, you see, if you do the natural resource accounting, nothing compensates for the destruction of Itiwa.
So,
nothing. Let's come back to Itiwa. Nothing. Let's understand it and not put politics in it.
No. That's why I want to understand exactly the point that you're trying to make. That during the NDC's time, we didn't give portions of Itiwa out to private organizations to mine.
Which private organization?
That's what I'm questioning.
No, me, I didn't. I know. I don't know of any development that gave Itiwa, part of Itiwa, to any company to mine. Okay. Because you couldn't be just, you see, you couldn't just be possible. Why? Because when you destroy Itiwa, you destroy all the water bodies. You destroy the flora and fauna of Itiwa. You destroy the exotic species. You disturb the ecological balance in Itiwa, which affects the ecological balance of this country. You can never compensate for that. You can never. Even the degradation that has taken place around the country, and particularly in the mining areas, just for small-scale mining. You know how many years it will take us to reclaim if we do nothing at all? Conventional estimates put it around 50 years. And you destroy a whole natural creation that is a significant biodiversity area and ecological system by itself. We don't have many in this country. No, I think that the government should have everything. So
you're still going on this tax waiver thing? I mean, whether you like it or not, you're a minority.
We will speak about it. Why would you give a tax waiver? There are people, why don't you give tax waivers to Ghanaian contractors who are contracting, who are executing roads? This is a facility that, first of all, you are going to destroy our forests, take our bauxite, put a refinery there. Part of the loan will put a refinery. You are guaranteeing the supply of the bauxite to China, and then you are using the process. So when you guarantee and there's a fall in price and you are unable to pay, China will move against the refinery or move against whatever property that you have. Because they say it's not a loan. We don't pray for the coin because
this is butter. I mean, it was concluded, wasn't it?
What is butter? There's nothing butter about it. They are taking the loan from ICGC. Sana Hydro, they just gave Sana Hydro a template and said, take the loan on these terms. Okay? But we are giving you these projects. If we are able to secure the loan on these terms, then we are fine. We'll deal. And so Sana Hydro says, yes, I will secure the loans on those terms. Now, so Sana Hydro is going to International Commercial Bank of China to take the money. Okay?
But isn't that their business? I mean, you don't have a deal with the people they're going to take the money from.
Even Sana Hydro, even Sana Hydro has a problem with the bank has a problem with the arrangement. So they say, oh, okay, Sana Hydro, yeah, you said Ghana government says to deal with you on these terms. Okay, but are you sure they will be able to pay you? Okay, to put a insurance premium on the money. That's why we have social insurance. So we have the bauxite. We are going to do a refinery. Elaborate plan, but put an insurance on it. We're paying an insurance premium. Very expensive. Now, so, okay. Sana Hydro says, we get a 2 billion. But the 2 billion doesn't include the cost of the loan. So you still pay the commitment. Ghana government will still pay the commitment. And Ghana government will still pay the interest. And Ghana government we'll still pay the arrangement. We will pay.
But you know, the thing is that, I mean, why would China or a Chinese company come and do things for free for you?
What free? What is free about it?
My point is, they would come in their own interest. That's what we should know. They'll come with their own terms. They are not coming to beg. We want the infrastructure. It won't come free. It would come with hard how do we call it?
Hard bargaining powers. I mean, but China doesn't lose out.
Yeah, but what did you expect China to do? That's the point I'm trying to make.
You need to take, you see, in strategy, in planning, in governance, you need to take control of matters that you can control. What can we control in this equation?
Well, you're not.
What can we control?
You are not the one at the at the forefront of the negotiation.
What we can control in this situation, but the government is Article 1 of the Constitution. The powers of governments are exercised for the benefit of us. It's not exercised for the benefit. So when we see that lens
of minority or NDC, is that not what this whole thing is about?
I'm looking, one, to see that we have value for money, that the resources of this country will benefit the people of this country. In fact, that becomes my duty as a minority member of parliament, that I don't close my eyes to deals that will perpetually hold this country in bondage. That if I do so, I'll be remiss in the performance of my duty as an opposition MP.
What should we expect the minority in parliament to do with this issue when, you know, once it comes on? Because
we had already when we saw the 82 million tax waiver, we were alarmed, and we started talking in voices like we had been possessed. And then I think they got wind of it, and then they couldn't table it the last time.
But they're finally tabling it.
They will table it. I suspect their strategy will be that they will whip all their members to parliament, table it, and move the motion and vote against us.
Are all minority members also coming?
Yeah, minority members will come. I don't know what all, but minority.
So these are the two things that you've told us: the company's bail, the tax waiver for Sino Hydro.
They might not even put the tax waiver. Okay. Nobody knows. What I'm saying is that what will attract our attention and agitate our minds for this sitting would be the company's bill. Okay. And this is because of a key performance indicator, a key benchmark requirement by the...
Isn't this an allegation or this is fact?
They told me that. I'm just repeating.
So this is on record?
Yes, on record. That's what they told me.
Who told you?
The leader of the House.
Okay.
As ranking member.
Leader of the House as in Mr. Speaker?
No. The majority leader. Okay. Yes. He told me that because he's seen the work and effort industry we have put into working on the company's bill. He encouraged us to continue to do more and finish the clause-by-clause consideration because, in his view, there was more at stake. And then, so in this recess, we were at Kofredua trying to complete wrap-up. And we've done so. He saw me and congratulated me and said, look, so when we come to Parliament, do help us to finish with the bill because it's important for government.
So that's the voting?
No. Do the clause by clause and so that we can finish.
Okay. So yes. So it's going to the plenary.
We have already done up to clause 210 of the company's bill. Okay. We did it before we rose.
So you're continuing to which point?
It's about 500 provisions. Okay. Plus including the schedules and the...
So really your recall is mainly on this company's bill? Then other matters may come up.
Other matters may come. I like it that way. Other matters may come up, but the recall, and that is the government of the tax facing us is the meeting the requirement of the World Bank, and government and Parliament, by my understanding, is prepared to put everything aside to be able to do the company.
Well, if this is true, really, the bit about the World Bank requirement, then that's an issue, isn't it?
It's huge. If you don't have resources.
Well, we'll see how things goes. But well, later this morning, I think they give the time as 9. The National Peace Council is also meeting the 2 political parties, the NDC and the NPP. This will be the 2nd meeting after an earlier one. The UN too has expressed interest in supporting Ghana. To see, and Chambers made that very clear. Well, but that's if we ask for support. We haven't asked that.
Well,
we haven't asked them for support.
No, if you will ask for support.
At what stage?
No, even if government doesn't, Parliament would. We need a robust legal regime to. You see, we don't want to create a deep state. You see, what government is seriously doing is attempting an architecture that will create a deep state. Because government, even now, because it is in power, is absorbing rapidly into the security services the persons who it has named as part of the vigilante groups, so that by the time that this law comes into force, they would be part of the security services.
You know that for a fact?
Oh, you didn't see that in Ayawasu?
Oh, you said they are rapidly.
Oh yes, I know that as a fact. I know as a fact that
absorbing people.
Yeah, I know that as a fact because I know that they deployed their officers to go around the country to assure their youth groups and members and the groups that have been identified in this bill that they need no worry. That by the time the bill comes into law, they will have been part of it.
You've got proof of this?
Oh. You underestimate the capacity of an opposition member to know what is happening.
So you've got proof of this?
I said that I have information.
Enes Apusen is ranking member, Constitutional Legal Parliamentary Affairs in Parliament. They're supposed to be on recess, but they've been called back for a week, today till Friday. What we're hearing really is that they may consider some tax issues, waiver issues with Sino-Hydro, and then the Vigilante bill, even though we understand it's been shelved, who knows, it may just show up. But for now, they're dealing with the company's bill. Kojo Singh is at the Pejuase Lodge. That's where the MPC is meeting the 2 political parties. So we'll link up with him a bit later on.